Hello again, my name is Ash and today we're gonna talk about one of the best action RPGs of the year. It goes without saying that we've not been getting anything playable that was of a decent level, except like Gridfall, which was meh, in my opinion. It was definitely not the worst among the modern RPG games, but not the best as well. Here we've been given a condensed but very lively world, great dialogue options and a system of character interaction along with multiple options for finishing quests. Of course, the combat was not as great and the overall level of difficulty in the game suffers a lot from inability to adjust to players leveling too fast, because you can become over-leveled too fast. In total, it is definitely worth trying out for yourself to see if you love it or hate it, because you doubtfully will get neutral about it. It's Outer Worlds, a highly anticipated game from game heavyweights Obsidian, the guys responsible for the RPG masterpieces like KOTOR 2, Fallout and Fallout New Vegas. Taking into account the fact that the rest of the Fallout games were mediocre at best, we've gotta assume that Obsidian know what they're doing. However, I was still more than doubtful that this game will be of a decent level, and I really hope that it will be somewhat better than the latest Fallouts made by Bethesda. So imagine how happy I was when the game turned out great from the very first dialogue lines and phrases. It is heavily reliant on dialogues and players' willingness to dig deeper into its lore. Of course, you're always free to do whatever you want, talk as little as possible and fight your way through the campaign. However, for me personally, it was much more exciting and interesting to talk to the NPCs and figure out all the details and intricacies of main and side quests. I won't lie, the quests and dialogues have not that big of a consequence for you at the end of the game, and it will not majorly affect the ending overall. Moreover, the ending credits will anyway simply show the screenshots with the text regarding how the game's story has ended. Nonetheless, the gameplay process and the narrative during it were more than remarkable. The story starts in a rather generic way, with the protagonist being revived from cryostasis to save the world of Halcyon. It consists of several different planets being governed by different corporations and fractions and political regimes that are conflicting with each other, so it's up to the player to choose one side of the conflict, attempt to unite them under a common goal, or ignore everyone and shoot everyone. If you ever played any of the previous Obsidian games, you might be prepared for something like this. What's the best feature of this is the dialogues and the characters that have been voiced over nearly perfectly. In other words, this game looks at the games like Mass Effect Andromeda and Fallout 4 and tells, go hire some good screenwriters and some good actors. Each line of the dialogue has several different branches and types of response, provoking different reactions from NPCs. Moreover, you can always attack them and end the conversation with brute force. Of course, your dialogue options will also vary depending on your type of character build you're choosing to develop. This makes the conversations in Outer Worlds sometimes even more interesting in compared to your daily interactions with alive people, which is more than perfect for me. As you can see, graphically it is also much better compared to BioWare and Bethesda's latest role-playing games, because it is much clearer, it is much brighter and more stylish. It feels like a highly polished post-apocalyptic steampunk in style. That's why one might find some stylistic inspirations from BioShock and BioShock Infinite in particular, where the characters, guns and enemies looked similar. In style, not their work copy-pasted, of course. It offers vibrant colors in showing some planets, wildlife, while picturing each city and settlement differently, from neon-style policies and factories to poor and broken villages. The guns are nothing special though, while the overall look seems to be just fine. Much bigger problem is the combat itself. It is definitely better than the games of the aforementioned competitors, because any other game's combat looks better and performs better than Mass Effect Andromeda, for God's sake. But you shouldn't expect shooting melee mechanic of something like Doom, Wolfenstein, Overwatch or something similar with great mechanic. The game was definitely not prioritizing combat in the first place, and in majority of cases the shootouts felt more like fillers between quests and dialogues, which is okay. Maybe it's just me who is being a snob here. The overall impression from the combat is okay, and it's fine, and it never annoyed me even in the most boring scenarios because I played the game for the story and the dialogue in the first place. Moreover, you can always play the game without even fighting anyone, which is great, I think. All in all, this is the game that needs to be played because it allows you to approach each situation differently and offers all the required tools for this. Wanna fight? Go ahead. Wanna sneak around, hack and pick locks? No problem as well. Wanna talk your way through to the ending? More than welcome. The game won't feel repetitive because at every moment you can shift your approach and try something new just to see what happens. And that's what I love about RPGs and about Other Worlds in particular. It's 4.5 out of 5 for me and definitely one of the best games of 2019. And now that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like, and if you're here for the first time, please consider subscribing. Leave a comment about whether you played this game or not, whether you liked it or not, and about what should I review next in my future video. Also, make sure to subscribe to my Twitter, you'll find the link in the description below. And now that's it for today. Thanks for watching once again, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.